I like cheese. Hello everybody, it's Stream Thy Mind here, and I hope you aren't lactose intolerant because today is the day we bring our cheese to the lands between. A lot of the game-breaking glitches have now been patched over the years, however some, or might I say most of them, have slipped through the cracks, cause FromSoft just doesn't know how to fix their shit. And we will be exploiting them like Diddy did with Usher, demonstrating to the world that these are in fact piss-easy games made for babies. So next time you'll hear somebody cry on how unfair these games are, show them this. We're just not gonna talk about the fact that some of these tricks are harder than the bosses themselves because it's not important. If you want to stay up to date with all my future videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps a lot and I would appreciate it very much as it allows me to continue on grifting on somebody else's work. Thank you, Miyazaki. Now we can finally begin. After obtaining a new dog, I left for the Church of America to get the physic flask. I touched a giant butthole and found myself in Florida where we can already cheese our first bosses. Grail can be quite tough to beat at low levels. However, if you stand behind this tree after getting his attention, he will try and come close to give you a kiss. Wait for him to start flying and do his fire attack and follow the path. Once he lands on the tree, it's all about waiting for him to fall to his death, because he conveniently forgot that he can actually fly. I stood there too close and almost died, so make sure you stand at a reasonable distance. Grail drops quite a lot of runes for early game, and we can get even more by convincing this guy and his glorified donkey to jump off this cliff. I used the runes to level up, and I picked up the first half of the Dectus medallion, as well as the Radahn seal. For even more runes, I killed Mama Dragon to level up even further and got some rocks for later. This next cheese is very useful if you want to go for an int build, because by following this path, you can enter the boss arena without crossing the fog door, meaning the AI of the boss won't activate. And you can easily pick up one of the best staffs in the game. After that, I got my hands on the Arrow Rain Ash of War, to then travel all the way to Liurnia to get the cheese balls off of this stinky hobo. Then it was time for my favorite activity, fetch questing. So I cheesed the Crystalline with my shaved balls and obtained the first Smithing Stone bell bearing, got the other half of the Dectus medallion as well as the Bleed Affinity, courtesy of this fine gentleman. I arrived in Altus through an elevator ride that for certain needed a cutscene, unlike most of the main characters of this game. I paid a visit to the best of friends and upgraded my balls. Now it's time to cheese another annoying boss, Commander O'Neill. And you can do it just by luring him towards you while standing on this branch. He'll eventually make it to your position, but because he's afraid of branches, he will refuse to do anything apart from twitching wildly while the rot geysers will take care of the rest. After that lovely encounter, I decided to pay a visit to Gilly for the Ritual Sword Talisman. Since we did get to Altus, the Radahn Festival is now open and all you need for this fight is some raw arrows and the Arrow Rain Ash of War. Once you're up on this branch, use the Ash of War to instantly rot Radahn and watch him pathetically punching a wall in pure frustration. I ran out of blue juice for some reason, but luckily I had enough arrows to rot him a second time and finish him off. With Radahn turned into grilled cheese, I paid a visit to Var to access Mogh Palace, so I gave him the finger.
Never forget that feeling of agony.
But before doing this next trick, remember to get the heal incantation. Once you arrive at Mogh Palace, trigger the boss fight with Mogh, quit out and go back to the closest grace, then follow this path. If you fail and die, you'll always have to re-enter Mogh's arena, so remember that. When you get on this ledge, try and slip off into the void while casting your spell, and hold on to it. You will fall for a minute, but after a bit this will happen. Now we have access to the DLC where we can get pretty useful upgrading items, but for now we don't have much use for it. So I return to Altus and everybody and their mother know about this cheese, alright? Just sneak behind the Draconic Tree Sentinel's fat ass and fart on him with your poison mist. Before entering the capital, I remembered to progress Millicent's quest. I crushed Godfrey with my balls of steel, as all of the cheese tactics I knew about have been patched. If you know an alternative method, please tell me in the comments. Okay, let's admire Morgoth's feat. Thank you, Miyazaki, you truly know what gamers want. Now, we will have to be stealthy. Use both the spells in the Ash of War before entering the boss, and crouch as soon as you get in. And cast the spell again when you get to this point, before getting behind Morgoth's back and fart on him like a coward. It'll take a while, but as long as you don't move, there is nothing he can do to you. After listening Malenia saying truly inappropriate things, she gave us the roll medallion, which means we can now cheese Relana. So I paid a visit to Giant Feet Mommy to respec my stats, one cycled her first phase and completely stomped her afterwards, killed Adani Liurnia for the Flame of the Fell Gods, arrived to the mountaintops, got the Giant Seal, got the Bell Bearing 3, obtained the Fire Crack tier, and went to this side of Grace in the DLC. I said hello to my new best friend that I definitely won't have to kill later on in the game, and the rest is just pure Swiss cheese. Hardest DLC of all time, my ass. Unfortunately, people, I lost the footage of the cheese against Fire Giant. I don't know what happened, it's just not in my folder anymore, so please forgive me. I'll leave a link in the description for the actual cheese if you need it. I couldn't find an actual cheese for Godskin Duo either, but they can become a joke by just using Sleep Pots and the Bloodhound Fang's Ash of War. Now that the end of the base game was in sight, it was time to pay a visit to my second favorite boss in the DLC. Let me know who's your favorite boss from Shadow of the Erdtree, let me know down in the comments, I'm curious to know what people think. After leveling up Mogh's Trident, enter Gaius' arena, summon Torrent, and quickly make it to this corner. Wait for Gaius to charge you and use Bloodhound's Step to iframe through the attack. And immediately get behind this corner. Use your buffs and start spamming the Nihil attack. When you get around 50% of his health bar, step back a bit because he will face transition and it will hit you hard. Once that is finished, get back to the spot and continue spamming the Astral War. Poor Gaius, beaten by a wall. Before continuing with the rest of the DLC, I opened up the path to the Helic Tree by skipping Commander Niall and entering the consecrated snowfield. Get this spirit jump, align the compass on the top of the screen with this mountain, and jump to your left. If you get it right, you won't die, and if you quit out, you will respawn exactly where you fell. Once I made it to Bad Bitch Loretta, I used the same old trick we used for Margit. I used Assassin's Gambit and the Unseen Form spell before entering the boss, and I crouched immediately when I got in. Then I moved to the right before throwing some pocket knives to distract her. I sneaked behind her fat booty and used the mist to finish her. Speaking about Loretta, I went back to Liurnia to cheese the Phantom version. This is quite simple, just run to this corner and quit out. When you'll log back in, you will still be in the boss room, but her AI will be deactivated, meaning you can take advantage of her. Not in that way. In order to cheese Placidosax, we will need a few items. So I spoke to a dog, which is also a pope, somehow, to get the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike incantation. Bought a cookbook, killed the guard in Lyondale for the Gravelstone Seal, which increases dragon incantations, got the Lightning Scorpion Talisman and the Lightning Crack Tier. I also picked up the Death Knight set for an increase to Ancient Dragon magic. I lost the footage for it, but I also equipped the Crimson World Crack Tier, and well, the fight looked a little bit like this. Now that the worst dragon fight of the game is finally over, it was time to visit the Naked Lizard Man, which is easily exploitable by using the L2 attack with the Bloodhound Fang. And just like that, I went from the worst to the best dragon fight, which this time isn't going to be an epic showdown, as we are going to use the Assassin Gambit and Unseen Form tactic, and well, I'll just let the video speak for itself. After going lizard hunting, I went flower picking. As soon as you enter the Skeru Tree boss arena, go to the left until you make it to the sledge. Watch out for the tree's range attacks while getting there. Then you'll want to slowly slip off this cliff, and if you do it correctly, you'll land on a tiny spot. Wait for the flower to come close and use Mogh's trident to smoke it like a Zaza bud on Friday night. This allows you to skip the next two phases and get the winning message, making this one of the shortest fights in the run. For Mesmer, there isn't really a true cheese method, but we can melt him by using the spinning gravity thrust paired with bleed. Since the fiery dude with mommy issue is especially weak to bleeding, you'll have to whip out your mimic tier, which honestly I thought it would show up this run much sooner, but here we are. In order to cheese Sexy Bug Lady, we'll need to grab the Sabbath Cannon. Get on the pile of rocks outside of Romina's room, point your cannon where I'm pointing it, and while keeping the ADS on, you'll see that you can damage her from outside the arena. Once you damage her enough, you can enter the arena and her AI won't react, meaning you can finish her off easily and without any risks. And now, we are ready to wrap this DLC up. Consort promised Radahn, or whatever his name is the hardest boss in the game and an absolute beautiful fight. Too bad we're not doing that today. Just use the sneaky tactic on him and get right under his butt. Start farting on him, and on the 5th time you poison him, get back and follow the path I take, being very careful not to be seen by him. Then use Mimicville to transform in an object and wait for the second phase to kick in. Watch the amazing cutscene, and when you respawn back in, just don't move until you see him turn around. Once he's done that, just run forward and he'll teleport away but will clip inside the rocks. At that point, it's all a matter of blocking with your shield and waiting for him to fall off the map and die. Now that we got rid of the 2 incestuous brothers, and weirdly I'm not talking about Dark Souls 3, it made sense to pay a visit to the now dethroned original hardest boss of the game, Malenia, the queen of toxic relationships. For this one you'll need as usual the Assassin's Gambit Ash of War, Unseen Form Spell, and Shabriri's Howl Incantation, as well as the Dragon King's Craigblade. That's why we killed Placidusax. Do the usual stuff and enter the boss room and crouch and wait for her to turn around. Follow her and get close with her, just like we did for Radahn. When she gets near the wall, she will turn around, so be careful because she will see you. I found it more consistent if you wait for her to start turning and immediately go behind her back. Start using your poison mist. You can also use freezing mist to speed up the process, and when she gets around 20%, use the Crakeblade's Ash of War. Make sure you aren't too much on the right because you won't be able to get enough hits on her. Once she's down on the floor, use a charge attack to stagger her and then repulse. While she's down, use Shabriri's Howl, and if you get it right, the cutscene will start while she's still standing up. Once the cutscene is finished, or you skip it, whatever, just run away and the poison will do the rest. Yeah, make sure she's still under the influence of your sweet body smells before staggering her.
Your strength, extraordinary. The mark of a true lord.
Yep, that's definitely me. Thank you, Malenia. Time to end the game now. And we will unfortunately have to eliminate the best of boys, because this is FromSoft and dogs are just disposable. Thanks to the hand of Malenia, we can use Waterfowl to take flight and land on this corner. It's a pretty tricky cheese, but if you try enough times, you'll definitely get it. Eventually. From here, be careful of not moving, whip out your bow and prepare some rot and poison arrows and say bye-bye to the dog. I used the spinning gravity attack on Gideon, which absolutely destroyed him, following Jeffrey Dahmer's famous last words, if you can kill it, you should drill it. I used a giant ass chicken wing to simply melt Godfrey, because again, all the cheeses have been patched. This game has been out for 3 years now? Jesus, it's been 3 years already. Anyways, if you don't kill him before doing the cheese for the final boss, then you can skip phase 2, which is definitely something. Now for Marika and the giant whale. Just do what I do here in the clip. At this jump, aim towards this direction and turn to your left while doing the waterfowl dance to avoid instant death. And follow the same path and then just do what we did for Mogh and wait a good minute. If you go down enough after the whale is dead, you'll teleport directly inside the Erdtree to finish the game. But watch out, because Radahn will still be there, eager to end your life. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do the usual YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe if you want. Tell me in the comments if you know any other cheeses. And yeah, alright guys, this is all I have for today. Have a great weekend and I will see you in the next one.
I'll see you look back upon us and